Over a year ago, we went over 100 Apex Legends tips and tricks, which you all seem to love, and for the past year, I have been collecting tips, tricks, strategies, and more for the sole purpose of today's 101 Apex tips and tricks to accelerate and master your game. Let's get it. Tip number 1 is that you can combo Newcastle's Tactical Shield and Passive Revive Shield for incredible revives and protection. Drop your Tactical and then pull your teammate inside of the shield while you are also aiming your Passive Knockdown Shield protection for almost complete cover of that player. If you are outside of the safe area of the ring, the map and mini-map's ring will actually flash or pulse. If you do enter the ring is going to stop flashing. This is incredible information as it's going to help assure you that your edge ring spot is actually safe, and this is especially true during the late game. Gibraltar's Tactical Dome is still insane. If you didn't know, the bubble can protect doors and stop or slow enemies from kicking the door down. When sitting on a door, drop the dome shield so it just cuts out and protects the doorway. This will mostly stop anyone from really being able to kick the door down. You can counter this by crouching and kicking the door. Having a teammate get knocked is tough. You can counterplay this though by faking a revive. Simply start a revive and then jump off and prepare for the enemy to push, as they will more than likely push when they do hear that revive audio going off. A good old tip is that the gold armor will allow you to charge the Sentinel sniper rifle with 1 shield cell rather than 2. If you are a Sentinel user, definitely look out for the gold armor. You can actually open doors with certain weapons. However, it does seem to only be on double doors and only with a few weapons such as the Wingman, 3030, and L-Star. Looting on a controller can be slow and revealing. However, as you are entering a death box, jump your character and quickly pick up a few items or an armor swap. This is going to give you a quick, fast, elusive looting opportunity to help keep you alive and not get beamed. Gold Helmet needs to go to legends like Gibraltar or Bloodhound, as their abilities have huge playmaking capabilities. However, if you are in an end game and you need to get one legend's abilities faster, do not be afraid to drop and swap the helmet around. This can make the difference between winning or just losing before you get your abilities. Being down players will happen no matter what from time to time. However, just because a teammate is knocked doesn't mean they aren't still useful. Playing off a knocked teammate's revive shield will allow you to still have some mobile cover that you can't see through, and this is a huge way to turn the tide and make plays with some more visual information since you can't see through that knockdown. Likewise, if you are about to be finished or thirsted by enemies, you need to properly use your knockdown shield to try and buy as much time as possible. Many don't know that you need to be aiming your knockdown slightly ahead of the player trying to wrap around and finish you. This gives you the best chance of surviving just a little bit longer, so a teammate can't stop that player from getting an armor swap on you or finishing you off. If you get an L-Star, here's the one thing you can do with it. But in all seriousness, LMGs have slower strafe speed, so take care when you are entering close range fights, as you are going to be easier to hit than anyone with an SMG. A simple one is that heat shields can revive faster when you are outside of the ring, and the shield is protecting you from taking that ring damage. Much of the time, enemies are looking to third-party players. You can use this to your advantage by having you and your squad simply shoot at each other, or just nothing. This will bait enemies in thinking you are fighting, and it could force them to make a reckless push when you are more or less ready for them. For some reason, some don't know that Fuse's ultimate can be zoomed in. This is a great thing to do just to recon areas or look around, and you don't always have to use the ability when you do pull it out. Do not waste rounds on the flyers around the map. Shoot a flyer once to activate their wings, wait for 3 flaps of the wings, and then shoot them again to have the box drop without wasting ammo. For controller warriors, when you are on a door or a friendly knocked teammate, you can reload by emptying your magazine and then hitting your trigger again to start a reload. This is a simple way to bypass the frustration of using interact when you are trying to reload. One of the most massive tips for early game success is to always go for floor loot and not bins. Floor loot allows you to guarantee what you're going to get, as you can just see what you're flying onto, whereas a loot pill will always be random and you won't know what you're going to get until you open the bin, which is much slower than going for the floor loot. Sometimes seeing is believing, and utilizing Apex Legends third-person mode will greatly help you understand how your character strafes and crouches in a fight. Head to the back of the range, crouch in the spot with no weapons equipped, and then change Legends while you are looking down to go into third-person mode. The fastest way to level up and unlock more Legends is to last longer in the Battle Royale. This should be prioritized over everything else. In arenas, though, you can spam win, and this will also be great for quickly leveling up. If for some reason you don't know, Legend tokens can be seen in the upper right corner when you highlight your currency, and you always get a new Legend every 20 levels. Tridents are pretty underutilized, but a great trick is that you can toss Gibraltar's Dome Shield and Heat Shields onto the back of a Trident. This is great for some mobile cover or protection from ring damage while you are rotating. A super simple tip is to melee at the end of a gunfight if you know the player is low health. It is much more efficient to drop someone by finishing them with a melee rather than reloading and then shooting. A crazy Newcastle tip is to use his ultimate to rapidly take height. His ultimate is incredible to quickly gain high ground and fortify up at the same time. Do not underestimate this ability's power just as a movement ability. Certain Marvins on Olympus will have a sparking arm. Killing these Marvins will drop a gold Marvin arm, which you can then bring to another one-armed Marvin to guarantee yourself 3 gold items every single time. When you do pick up the arm, you can also ping it to find the closest Marvin. On certain maps such as World's Edge and Olympus, you can loot the high tier loot in the vaults with Loba. It will break her ultimate though and create an audible alarm, so take care and loot the item after your team has used her ultimate. This makes landing next to these spots very advantageous, especially in ranked. It sounds obvious, but at minimum have 2 backup legends so you can't have a fallback if someone takes your main. Also, don't be that person that quits because you didn't get your legend. Apex has tons of great communication, including one of, if not the best pinging systems out there. Beyond this though, every player needs to be utilizing their kill feed and tracking when players are getting cracked or weak to make a push onto the proper enemy. It's still optimal to use a mic, but this is communication you do have without even needing to speak to your teammates. Rampart walls are obviously great to block off doors and hold up in areas, but an even better or alternate way to block a door than putting it right in front of the door is to place the wall perpendicular to that doorway. This blocks the door and creates a corner of cover that you can use if a player does decide to breach into your room from another angle. The mental game of Apex is absolutely one of the most underrated things to consider. If you are getting tilted or you can't seem to make anything work, a full reset in playstyle might be an option. Swap from that sweaty Wraith to a legend like Mirage and just try to switch it up. Of course, you can take a break as well. A sleeper tip is that frag grenades only move or displace enemies if they do take health damage. This is good to know if you are fighting enemies with red Evo shields, as frags will do a max of 100 damage, which will not break that red Evo. Use this information to your advantage for big plays and to flush enemies out. Another hidden or secret tip is that Loba's loot will actually float off of the ground when a player is actively inside the black market. Be warned, it only floats if someone is using the market. Use this information to make plays when someone is trying to loot up, or just as extra intel to know if someone is around due to the floating loot. Sometimes landing on or around a crafter and going straight for an armor upgrade is a viable strategy. If no one is around or your loot run was very poor, upgrading to a blue armor is always worth it, especially in ranked when every little upgrade counts. Gibraltar's Dome Shield is a very difficult ability to counter. One tip that you can do to keep players from peeking out of the dome is to throw an arc star on the sides of it, because if they do peek, the arc star will damage them. Taking this one step farther, wait 10 to 11 seconds after the dome has been placed and then throw an arc star on top of the dome. This time properly will make the arc star fall to the ground right as the dome disappears, which can be crazy clutch, or at minimum will force them out. Less experienced players almost never prioritize quick shield cell healing and often take too many batteries. A quick shield cell heal is vital, as you will not always be able to get a full battery off. Any downtime you might have in a fight is worthy of popping a quick shield cell to keep your total health pool higher than the enemies. This is honestly one of the biggest things that pros and noobs do differently. Be sure to constantly heal up. When dropping and looting initially after landing, always prioritize a gun over better shields if they are side by side, and this is especially if you are landing with other enemies. Purple armor means nothing if the other player grabs an R99 and empties that magazine into you. When playing Seer, it's always a huge pressure to open using his tactical to locate enemies. However, the better way is to wait for when you know you can cancel someone's healing usage, a revive, or an ability. This will give you a huge advantage rather than just opening a fight with it when they are already full health. Looking to improve, do not overloot in the early game. This is especially true if you do get a good gun and or shields off the spawn. Getting cracked loot instantly means you have the advantage, so make a push and build your skill early when you know you have the leg up. Arc stars are arguably one of the most important grenades in Apex. Opening a 1v3 or a 1v2 by sticking an enemy is a massive advantage to outplay multiple enemies. If you are trying to clutch up or just dropping solo in squads, always carry an arc star. And likewise with this, at higher level play, especially in competitive environments, it is paramount to at minimum carry one grenade, if not more. Don't forget to grab grenades and do not run over them when you know you have the bag space. This is the definitive way to force movement, apply relief, and keep enemies away. Everyone should learn wall jumping, as it's a more basic but great movement technique that you can use to make some creative plays. If you want to learn how to wall jump, it's simply done by running, sliding, and then jumping into the wall. As you come in contact with that wall, release your movement keys or stick. At this point, you are about to attach the wall. You will want to jump off of that wall, and then you can start to redirect right as you jump. Practice it in the range to perfect it. The most paramount tip to extend your life in Apex is going to be the previously hinted at armor swapping. Simply popping into a death box mid-fight is an extremely useful way to gain a boost in shields and help survive and win a fight. One way to take this another step further is to pull and drop armors around your area. This will let you even more quickly armor swap without having to open a death box. Again, very valuable in ranked when you might have a slower game and you're posted up in one spot for longer. When a squad mate is getting revived, have your third player drop their armor for them. This will let the revived player get a faster boost in life without having to hop into a death box, while your third can just pull a fresh armor from that death box. You can super jump on zip lines by connecting to a zip line and then rapidly tapping jump twice extremely fast. This technique can let you get alternate angles in fights or jump up to a high ground area that you couldn't typically climb to. Look slightly up at the zip line for a little easier launch. Grinding to higher ranks in Apex is all about choosing your fights. Whenever you initially take a fight, you need to expect third parties. Always have this in your mind and just expect a third party to happen. If you want one way to counter a third party, don't take a fight unless you know there's no one around, or better yet, finish the fight as fast as possible, as this gives you the best chance to heal and get ready for the next team. If you ping a door, it will be highlighted for a short amount of time. This is great to tell when the door opens if you can't get close enough to hear the audio, or you are waiting for someone to enter or leave a building while not having a line of sight on that door. If you're looking to farm up those 4K damage badges, an emphasis on marksman and assault rifles is a must. Anything that you can use to extend your range will be helpful, as you want to shoot every single thing that you see, even if it's across the map. Another tip is to finish your knocked enemies, as it will add 100 damage to your counter. Great weapons to use are going to be the 301, Flyline, Hemlock, 3030, Triple Take, Longbow, and even the Rampage, to name a few. If you are brand new to Apex or you're just looking to quickly build your skill, some incredible legends to use are going to be Octane, Fuse, Loba, and Bloodhound. All of these legends are very simple in terms of their abilities, which will help you focus on gun skill and positioning, which is what really matters when you are trying to improve. On the other side, if you are looking for some sweat legends to perform in ranked or tournaments, Valkyrie, Gibraltar, Caustic, Ash, and Wraith are all incredible picks that you can't go wrong with. Dropping a 20 kill game and getting that 20 bomb badge is one of the most coveted milestones for an Apex player. Some massive tips to help you get this are to spend as minimal amount of time or even no time looting unless it's absolutely necessary. In addition, you have to land hot, get a few kills off spawn, and simply just get lucky. Taking this one step further, your teammates will also need to be pretty bad, or you'll have to drop solo so you don't lose kills to competent teammates. If you are playing Apex and can't really seem to improve, some big tips I can give you is to simply just not play scared. Actually take chances and to play the game with the intent of improving and learning. Do not re-queue for another match without thinking about what you could have done better. I can't undersell how important it is to actually take the information out of your losses or even wins to improve your game. Sometimes just starting your day off right is one of the best ways to make sure your shots are on point. Utilizing the firing range, even for a couple minutes, is a great way to get your shots down in a non-stress environment. Other great training options to utilize are the arena or control modes. Try starting a longer play session off with one of these modes to get some extra gun time to warm up your shot. This can go a long way to performing better when you are looking to have a longer play session. Before tip number 51, we have a bonus tip. Over everything else, it's paramount that you just have fun while playing. Play the legend you want, the weapons you want to use, and the way you want to play. 99.99% of us are not competing in tournaments for money, and fun needs to be the priority over everything else, and truly ask yourself what you want from your time on Apex. All in all, don't take things too seriously. There might be no better clutch item in Apex than the gold backpack. This item always goes to Gibraltar, Lifeline, Mirage, and Caustic. All of these legends have advantages when they are reviving, which means they are the best legend to get this item. The middle loot pill at the back of the docks on Olympus always has high tier loot. This makes it a very valuable spot to drop to or pass by. It also means that many others could be going for this spot, so keep an eye on the back of docks. Simple tip, a charged up rampage will break doors. This is great to breach into areas if an enemy is ratting on a doorway. A few slightly less known tips for the ping system is that pinging your gun is a great way to show how much ammo you have, and it will relay this information to your teammates if you do need ammo. Also, you can go into your inventory and ping your ultimate if you want to coordinate it with your random teammates. A very old tip that some still don't seem to know is that a finisher will give you a full recharge of your shields. Most finishers also take about the same amount of time as a battery. If you know you have some time and safety and you want to save batteries, pop a finisher on an enemy. If you are on Ash and you get stuck by an arc star, you can use your ultimate phase breach to not take any arc star damage. Arguably, the most important setting you can change in Apex Legends is the damage closes death box setting. This setting will rip you out of getting that clutch armor swap, and it absolutely needs to be turned off. An old but still useful tip for Octane's pad is to punch when you are next to a pad. This punch will give you a clean vertical launch to look out and see what's around. Likewise, if you punch while holding backwards, you can get a reverse launch, which can be very useful. A huge tip or technique for the Bamboozle King Mirage is to use his ultimate ability and then run in circles. This will make it very difficult for enemies to pick out the real Mirage, and it can let you make a play at the right moment. Do not take too many healing items, and even more specifically, don't stack on too many syringes or medkits. Your shields will always be the first thing drained, and they should be your priority. I typically never run more than 4 syringes and 2 medkits, as these are more times in people's death boxes than not. Loba's Black Market is still useful for endgames, especially again in ranked. Use our Black Market for an endgame armor swap where you might not be able to leave a building or an area that is a little bit too congested with enemies. If you are looking to take Valkyrie to the next level, you can shoot her missiles backwards while you are running. All you have to do is look to the ground and jump as the rockets are going off. This will shoot the rockets backwards, which can be good if enemies are chasing you. A situational tip is to pop a finisher on an enemy trying to get away from cover, or better yet, drop down from height. This will stop them from moving, and you will be able to get their loot without them falling to the ground. Most know that the Ferris wheel grapple with Pathfinder is the bread and butter. Another great grapple technique is the atypical grapple. This is done by placing Pathfinder's grapple cursor above or next to the object you want to connect to. This sends the grapple past it and then connects on the way back. This will give you an aggressive alternate launch angle that can be good in certain situations. Vertical or sky nades are great to get people off of height or make massive plays. This basically is just a frag grenade thrown straight up into the air at a slight angle. Doing this causes the frag grenades to blow up instantly without warning on enemies' heads. Practice this in the range to get various distances down. Edge sliding is a basic but very effective movement tip for getting quick pushes into fights. This is done by sliding off of the edge of objects for an increase in movement speed. This can be chained together for more boosts, or even better yet, coming out of abilities like Pathfinder's Grapple or Octane's Pad. An incredible strategy for Horizon is to breach buildings and doors with her black hole. The black hole will break doors and pull enemies off of the door. Throw the black hole to the side of a door or on the roof before dropping down, making that breach. Tip for you Revenants is to carry Thermites. Everyone from time to time will overextend in Revenant's ultimate. Sometimes a Thermite throw to the feet to damage yourself and send yourself back before your totem goes away and your death protection expires is a great tactic. Do not let yourself get caught out in the open with low health. Running 2 spray guns like the 301 and Prowler can be a tough thing to do as it requires a lot of ammo. Always consider running a single shotgun like the Wingman, maybe a 30-30 or a shotgun with a spray weapon to drastically reduce the amount of ammo and increase the amount of options that you can carry, from shields, heals, or extra grenades, or even an ultimate accelerant. On Stormpoint, there's a few spots with guaranteed loot like blue or purple or even gold shields, the center of Barometer, bottom of the zipline cave near Cascades, the cave near Cenote Caves, and the center of Mill are all great spots with guaranteed loot and shields. A basic but good tip is to always heal your shields before your health. Unless you need to save yourself from ring damage or something like caustic gas, shields just take less time as a battery takes 5 seconds, while a medkit will take up to 8 seconds. On Stormpoint, great drop spots for kills are going to be Mill, Command Center, Stormcatcher, and sometimes the Wall. All these spots have decent-ish loot, and generally a few teams landing there depending on the dropship path. These spots are also great to get much higher kill games on this already massive map. If you are on controller and you are accidentally panic punching quite frequently, try using the button puncher layout, as this swaps the crouch and punch buttons. A quick but sneaky way to finish enemies with ease is to activate a finisher and then cancel it. This often leaves players defenseless and surprised, as it will allow you to blast a shotgun in their face or spray them down. A sneaky Watson tip to bait doorways and trap enemies is to place a node outside of a door that an enemy might come from. When they do come up to the door, place a node on the inside and then back off of that doorway. This will catch any enemy camping on the door off guard, and it could be a huge playmaker. If you are enjoying the video, do me a huge favor and hit that like button. A 100 tip video takes a ton of time to make, and I just truly appreciate the support. Calling out things to your teammates can make or break a fight. When you do damage, try to always call out how much actual health damage you do to the enemies. This lets your team know how much health is left rather than them guessing. Also, always call out the legend you do the damage to and their shield rarity, as this is critical information when you are coordinating a fight. In all close range fights with Gibraltar, do not let go of aim down sights. Holding your gun up with Gibraltar gives you a free 50 health due to his gun shield, and the bonus 50 health is huge. A red armor Gibraltar with a gun shield plays more like a character with 325 health due to him also being fortified. When yourself or enemies are using a mobile respawn beacon, the beacon will actively pulse green when players start to revive someone. A cool trick for Mirage's ultimate is to use the Hype Man emote while you are in the ultimate. This is going to spawn double the amount of clones, and it will add more visual clutter to enemy sightlines. 3 years into Apex Legends, and some still do not know that the EVA 8 and Mozambique shotguns are actually full auto. Hold the trigger down and let him spray. A huge myth with Octane is stimming and then taking his launch pad. You actually go the same distance whether you stim and slide or just slide onto the pad. Likewise, just crouch walking onto the pad will give you the same distance as both slide stimming or just sliding. The best way to stim is right before you are about to land to give yourself maximum speed coming out of that pad launch. Each Apex Battle Pass has enough currency to fund the next one. If you save the Apex coins you receive from one Battle Pass, you'll only have to buy one Battle Pass, and the rest or all of the future passes will more or less be free. A crazy Bloodhound tip is that you can track enemy card timers. Bloodhound can see where people died 90 seconds ago, just about the same amount of time as an enemy banner. If the skull around a death box does go away, this means the timer has expired. This is great to track and wait for people coming back at the last minute to pick up a card. If a teammate gets knocked in the open, you can crouch punch teammates to get them behind cover and possibly save them from dying in the open. Lifelines need to be comboing the healing drone and shield cells or batteries. This virtually gives you double the amount of heals for the same amount of time as any other legend. Use this in fights to really outplay enemies. A mega basic but effective movement technique is to heal peek. This simply just involves jumping and peeking over objects to see what is going on as you apply any healing items. Do not blind yourself to enemies while you are healing, and if you can't afford it, just jump and heal peek over objects. On the other hand, side peeking is the bread and butter move for Apex to dish out more damage while taking less. This simply is done by just popping out from the side of cover, dealing damage, and then returning to cover right as enemies are about to return fire. If you can, do not re-peek the same side, as you're gonna get beamed quite easily. Re-peek around multiple sides for the best result. If you didn't know, Crypto will actually reload his guns while you are in the drone. To tell when this happens, an on-screen indicator will pop up. If you are weak when escaping with an Ash ultimate or in general moving, step backwards after going through the breach. This will let you stare into a chasing enemy's back so you can catch them off guard. Newer players generally bypass ultimate accelerants. Any aggressive legend or long ultimate timer legend needs to think about taking these. This means legends like Bloodhound, Revenant, Crypto, and Gibraltar are all a few great legends that get insane usage from accelerants, and they can make a huge deal. Semi-basic, but other caustics do not take damage in any caustic gas. Be ready for this and use this to your advantage and push a caustic. Apex Legends' time to kill can seem somewhat longer than other shooters. Team shotting and coordination is a must to effectively win higher tier ranks or sweatier matches. In line with this, the best way to improve is to improve together, learn from others' playstyles, and build off of one another. The new rank system is absolutely going to test this. Timing is key, and playing with the same people helps. You can hop into our community Discord if you do want others to play with. Don't play with randoms or solo queue if you don't have to. Solo queuing does help build skill, but only once you have really reached a certain point. If you are struggling with loot and figuring out what to carry, here is my optimal blue backpack layout. 5 or 6 stacks of ammo, a grenade, 12 cells, 4 batteries, 4 syringes, 2 medkits, and sometimes a Phoenix kit. Stepping down to gray, I will drop the Phoenix kit and 2 batteries or the medkits. It really depends on the game or how deep I am into a match. Dropping and flying down at the start of the match is very important, and it will set your game up for success or failure. You can fly into the sides of buildings, mountains, and objects to rapidly fall down to the ground. This will allow you to drop much quicker than everyone else, and you can get that loot a lot faster. A tip for Rampart's buffed walls is that you can stack multiple walls on one another. This lets the first broken wall act as cover as the second one builds. Also, now that the walls have more than 100 health, using them in a mid-range battle quickly isn't too bad, as it is free cover and protection from damage. Any rank under Platinum, even in the new rank system, your priority should be just to gain fights and gain skill. Team coordination shouldn't really matter till you are in Platinum or higher. Building gun skill and general game knowledge is more important before you rank up to higher ranks. That being said, if you do want a for sure way to gain RP, land adjacent to hot areas and third party for increased success. If you did not know, the endgame options in Apex Legends are not unlimited. The more you play, the more you can predict the endgame location and get to the spot you need to be in to win games. Be sure to monitor the ring location in every single game and learn from this. There's a ton of skins in Apex Legends now, but the Merciless Wing Wingman skin, Superstar Peacekeeper skin, and the Outlands Avalanche R99 skin are all really great options, as they all either have a slimmer profile or better iron sights. Do not be like Anakin, be Obi-Wan. High ground is always key. Playing low ground can have its advantages, but rarely will it be useful, and in general, it's going to be harder to trade damage if you are looking from low ground. Everyone wants to get those dope looking heirlooms. If you are new, you are guaranteed to get an heirloom on your 500th Apex Legends pack you have opened if you do not get one sooner. This is crazy important because heirlooms obviously make you better and make you much more skilled. Apex Legends at its core is a movement game with its roots from Titanfall. If you want to improve even more, check out our movement guide to excel your skills even further. I'll see you in the Discord, but until next time, happy gaming, Legends.